Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching today. Coming up tomorrow, are you ready to quit smoking? Well, we've got some tips to help you kick the habit once and for all.
Good morning, San Antonio. Today we've got some barbecue in the kitchen. Plus, we're going to tackle some serious subjects. You know that smoking is more addictive than ever, a way for you to stop. And the girls and boys town of San Antonio changing our city for the better, one child at a time. It's going to be a great day, I say.
We've been told for decades just how bad smoking is, so why are people still smoking? I had the chance to sit down and chat with the author of Ending the Tobacco Holocaust, Michael Rabinoff, for some insight. Doctor, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And welcome to San Antonio. As I said, people are still smoking, knowing all the threats, knowing all the dangers. They're still smoking and people are dying. Tell me about the title of this book.
The book is called Ending the Tobacco Holocaust, How Big Tobacco Affects Our Health, Pocketbook, and Political Freedom, and What We Can Do About It. According to the World Health Organization, 1 billion people will die from smoking this century. That's billion with a B.
Billion.
And that's why the title uses the term Holocaust, which means extensive suffering, extensive destruction resulting in massive suffering and death. And that's what's happening. I use that title to make people aware of the amount of suffering and death that's going to be occurring because of this problem in the world, so it can enter their consciousness and they can have an understanding of what's going on.
Because as a smoker is just having a cigarette and, you know, just kind of taking a break from work or whatever the case is, or riding in their car, they don't really understand the severity of what it is that they're doing. And with all of this, with everything that we found out about smoking and tobacco, the dangers of tobacco, why is it that people are still smoking and that 1,200 people will die every single day?
Well, it turns out that 80% of smokers start before the age of 18.
Which is a big, that's big.
Yes.
And why is that so important in terms of, you know, people still smoking?
The Clinton administration used to talk about the smoking condition as a pediatric disease. Most people start as our children and underage teens who are unaware of the true adverse effects of smoking.
Yes.
And then they're addicted by the cigarettes, and the tobacco companies have actually made the cigarettes more addictive, so it's very hard to quit.
Interesting. They've made cigarettes more addicting?
Correct. And there's been recent news from Harvard showing that they've increased the nicotine from 1998 to 2004 by 10%. But that's not the only way they make cigarettes more addictive. They use chemistry to change the composition of the nicotine. So in cigarettes now there's more vapor freebase nicotine, and how people may think of this is the difference between cocaine and crack. They actually use freebase technology to make this more addictive type of nicotine that makes it harder to stop smoking. They also add other chemicals. Like, most people don't know, a typical Marlboro may have 11 to 12% of sugars in it. When the sugars burn, they form acetaldehyde, a chemical that's addictive. The Philip Morris scientists found that rats would bar press for acetaldehyde as well as bar press for nicotine, and they bar press the most for the combination. Bar pressing is a sign of addiction. And there are other chemicals that they put in that affect the chemistry, making it much more addictive.
Well, and you know, we say this all the time, that, you know, cigarette smoking is addictive. It is a very bad habit, and so people out there are constantly saying, I need to quit smoking. And I think a lot of times they try it, and, you know, I've heard this before several times. Well, I quit smoking for, you know, 6 months, but then, you know, I went back to smoking again. And so I think people really want to know how to do it. In your book, you talk about 10 different tips, and we're going to get to some of those, because I think for people out there, they really want to know how to do it. Have a big enough reason why. Why is that so important?
That's the first and most important point. You have to know why you're quitting if you're a smoker, and it shouldn't be because you're being forced to by other people, because that develops resistance. The issue is, why, as an individual, do you want to quit? Do you want to quit because the average smoker loses 14 years of their life to smoking? Do you want to quit because of your loved ones? Turns out there are millions of cases of sickness of children in this country because of secondhand smoke. Asthma, pneumonia, ear infections, those are all caused by children being exposed from their parents smoking.
And not only that, but I would also imagine that if you smoke in front of your children and they see you do it, then they somehow, you know, grow up thinking that maybe that it's not that big of a deal.
That's correct.
Is that true?
They model their parents. Other issues which most parents may want to know is that when a child starts smoking, they don't know that they may be making a $3 million decision.
Yeah.
A smoker at age 18 who's spending $2,000 a year on smoking, if they smoke until they're 65, and even if they don't have adverse health effects, they will have spent $96,000.
Almost $100,000 just from smoking.
Right.
You've just made smoking companies a lot of money.
On the other hand, if they invested in a Roth IRA, that $2,000 a year, and let it compound at the normal rates that stock compound long-term, 11% a year, they'd have $2.9 million tax-free.